Attend this one, sir. So now the flow is bigger, R1, R2, R3. In this way, many number of things are there. R1 partitions loaded, executed, no failure happened. Then it is waiting for R2, loaded. And during execution, some failure happened at some particular partition. Generally, what is expected here? Which partition got failed, that partition data has to be distributed into another node. And the execution should be done by this one. But there is a problem here. The problem is where this is happening at node number 3, working with partition number 1. But if node 3 got down, this data is not available, right? This data is not available. Then how it can distribute the data of this one to some other one? How it can distribute this data to some other node? Because this system completely down. Suppose if you feel that the backend storage is HDFS, for HDFS files, there are blocks, block 1, block 2, block 3. Block 1 copy available in another mission. Block 1 third copy is also available. Like this, block 2, each, this is having 3 copies, this is having 3 copies. So from that copy it is taking. If you feel like that, but in Spark case, that will be the wrong answer. Because single block can be divided into multiple partitions in Spark. Your Hadoop file is having 2 blocks, means block 1, block 2. This block 1 can be divided into 5 partitions. Block 2 can be divided into other 5 partitions. If a particular partition node got down, means how you can sure, okay, this particular piece of data is coming from this particular block or this particular block. Okay, that's why your expected feature will not happen in Spark. That's why what Spark is doing is R1 successful. In the case of R2, if any partition down, the fault tolerance mechanism will be like this. If any partition down, partition working node is down. It will call back all partitions and restart reading from R1 and distribute to other nodes which are currently available. So pictorially, I will explain this. Same your initial example, R1 equal to SC dot parallelize of. Up to 10, think that 10 elements are here. I am making it as 3 partitions. In R2, I am performing some transformation. For each element, I want to add the value 10. Okay. And after that, R3 something. Now for R1, 3 partitions, partition 1, partition 2, partition 3. success, then R1 is successful. But still it is waiting for R2. Still it is available at RAM only. Then R2 loaded. Partition 1, partition 2, partition 3. Success. Thing that is failed. Whenever it got failed, all P1, P2, P3 are removed. That means callback. And restart reading from still R1 is available in RAM, sir. So that restart reading from R1. If R1 is the input, you are not applying any filter. You are just doing element to element transformation. That's why if input has 3 partitions, its next following RDD will also have 3 partitions. Okay, restart reading from R1 and prepare partitions, and these partitions will be distributed into different nodes. And partitions will be distributed into except previously some node got down, except to that node, to the remaining nodes will be distributed to other nodes which are currently available. In this way, automatically the Spark master will take care of distribution of these partitions. There is no involvement of the human involvement here to control all these things. Got it? Okay. Now the case R1 successful, where I have P1, P2, P3. Think that during second time of reallocation, P1, P2, P3 partitions also successful. So whenever R2 successful, R2 waits for R3, but R1 will be removed from the RAM. Okay, removed from RAM. Now only R2 available in the RAM, but still it is waiting for R3. Got it? Think that in R3, the operation is like you are performing some other different aggregation or some other operation. Think that again it is having 3 partitions, P1, P2, P3. So this time P1 successful, P3 successful, P2 got failed. What will happen? Same kind of story will happen. Whenever one particular partition down, remaining partitions are removed and restart reading from its previous RDD. What is its previous RDD? For R3, previous RDD is input RDD is R2. It restart reading data from R2 and again making the partitions. These partitions will be distributed into different machines again in this moment which are available. Maybe in the second time, this might be successful. In this way, the fault tolerance will be applied over here. Suppose in case 1 and case 2, we did not involve any persisted object. Okay, no persisted objects. So if there are persisted objects, what will happen? Okay, so one more case we need to deal. Later we go to the importance of persisted. Try to remember R1 successful with all partitions. But waiting for R2. R2 process also successful. Then R1 will be removed from RAM. It is waiting for R3. During R3 execution, P1, P2, and P3. If it got failed, if any one of the partition got failed, it start rereading from R2. R2 is in some other missions. Think that at the time of reading, one of this mission got down. Understood my point, sir? R3 machines are running fine, but R3 input is coming from R2. At the time of reading data from R2, one of mission of R2 partitions down. Then again, all partitions will be rolled back. That means they will be cleared off from the memory. Again, R2 has to read data from R1. To read data from R1, R1 is not available. That is a challenge here. Understood, all of you? So in this case, what will happen is, so let me go with this detail. R1 has 3 partitions, P1 to 3, R2, P1 to 3, R3, P1 to P3. So here my case is, while R3 is reading data from R2. If one of partition of that means execution mode, if one of partition of R2 is down, then what is expected? Then what should be done? R2 partitions will be cleared off. Cleared off from RAM. Then R2 has to read data from R1. But here problem is, but R1 already cleared off from RAM. That means R1 not available in RAM. So this is the problem statement. But at any cost, R2 execution should be done. To execute this R2, R1 should be available so that the flow starts from beginning again. The flow, that means execution flow, will be started from beginning. Understood? During R3, if R3 partition got failed, it can take data from R2. But at the time of taking data from R2, if R2 partition got down, it has to take it from R1, but R1 is already cleared from memory. That is the problem statement. R1 not available in this case. Then the flow has to be started from its beginning. So for this, what is the solution we need to discuss? The solution is, observe here. Okay, previous example R1, R2, R3. Not R3, think that the flow is very bigger, the flow is bigger up to R100. Whatever the problem happened at R3, if such kind of problem happened at R99, what will happen, sir? When problem happened at R99, it has to take data from R98, but R98 already cleared off from memory. Then it has to execute the code from the beginning. It has to execute the workflow. That means data flow from the beginning. That's why what is the solution for this one is R1, R2 is equal to R1 dot. That means, you know, for R2 input is R1. For R3 input is R2. Similar way R4, R5. After R5, I am persisting this. Persist. Next R6, R7, 8, 9, 10. Again R10, I am persisting. In this way, R95 persist, and then R100. If my flow is very bigger from R1 to R100, for every 5 intervals of RDD, one RDD I am persisting this. What is the advantage? Think that R12, R95 successful. Next, R96 successful, waiting for 97. 97 successful, waiting for 98. Whenever 97 successful, 96 will be removed from RAM, sir. But whenever 96 successful, still 95 is available in RAM because it is persisted. Okay. Okay. Now, during execution of R98, R98 also becomes successful. During execution of 99, it got failed. It has to start reading data from R98. At the time of reading, suddenly it got failed. Suddenly it got failed. Then again, R98 to be initiated. It has to read data from 97, but 97 not available. Again for 97, 96 not available. For 96, 95, but it is available. Then the flow will be restarted from already 95 available. The flow restarted from only 96 to or 96 to 99 only. Instead of restarting flow from beginning, it is restarting flow from its only previous 4 steps only. All of you understood this? Even though I have single flow, okay, but my workflow is bigger. To provide effective fault tolerance mechanism, here what we have done is for every 5 RDDs of interval, we have persisted manually one particular RDD. What is the advantage of second model when compared to for the previous problem statement? So please try to explain me, sir. Please someone, your understanding, please. Saranjit, Shravan, Parshuram, Tejesh, Monica. What is the advantage, especially in the last model? For every 5, after every 5, I have persisted something.
No need to execute from scratch.
That's it, because all these things are available in the memory. Because the problem happened, suppose not at 99, the problem happened at, let's say 54. If problem happened at 54 means it has to read data from 53. If 53 available, okay, but at the time of reading data from 53, 53 got removed. If any failure happened, it has to read it from 52, but 52 not there, 51 not there, but 50 already persisted, so that the flow can be restarted from 51 to up to 54. Instead of restarting from the beginning, only recent previous steps only it is restarting. So such kind of mechanism, such kind of technique you need to apply if your data flow is very bigger. Okay, so this is fault tolerance behavior of the Spark. Okay, now we'll try to understand the coding part of this one. The coding fundamentals of PySpark. Number 1, how to create RDD. or when RDDs are created. So like at what situations, what are the different possible ways when RDDs are created. So first we discuss about this one. Generally in three ways, you can create RDDs. Number one, when local object is parallelized. This is one situation. And second situation, when data is read from file or any database using Spark context. That is second situation. So where RDDs are created. The third situation, when you perform or when a transformation or a filter or a filter is applied on a RDD. If you apply some transformation or filter on one existed RDD, automatically output is another RDD. This is situation number 3. These are the 3 ways to create RDDs. So for this, one example I will give you. For each one example we will see. So remember those 3 ways. I'm talking about the first one. I have X, which is Python local object. Okay. It's not RDD, it's a local object. What do you mean by local objects? Execution will happen at your local system. That is called local object here, but not at a Spark cluster. So I want to make it as RDD. So here observe when local object is parallelized using Spark context. Okay. So I'm making something. Let's say y equals to Spark context dot parallelize. The parallelize of X. Got it. Of course, I did not say any number of partitions, means by default one partition. If you want to go with multiple partitions, you can specify the partition number. Suppose I want to make this as 2 partitions. I'm expecting 2 stages of parallelism. That means parallelism to be executed by 2 nodes. That's why 2 partitions. Here in this example, X is a local object, Y is a RDD. Especially in this example with 2 partitions. In the first partition, this data. In the second partition, this data. During execution, partition will be distributed into one node. Partition 2 will be distributed into other different node. So that is the meaning of your first point when local object is parallelized using Spark context. Okay, come to the next second example. When data is read from a file or a database. Okay, still we did not touch any database related concepts over here. That's why let's see the example of a file. Suppose I am saying something, data equals to the Spark context dot text file. This is the predefined method for the Spark context to read data from the normal text flat files. So the file path I am giving here, my path like this, my data. It can be a local file. It can be a Hadoop file. It can be a DBFS file like a Databricks file system file. Or if it is in Azure, that can be even Azure Data Lake file. It can be of anything. Suppose my file is sales.txt. Now this object data is RDD. But RDD is having partition, each partition is having number of elements. But how many partitions depends on the file type. If it is local file, only one partition. If it is Hadoop file, if Hadoop file has 2 blocks, 2 partition will be there. Understand? Okay, for now think that is a local file. Local file is having 100 rows. It is having 1 partition with 100 elements. Each line has a element like this. And same thing, one more example. If I say data2 is equal to sc.text file. My data here. Sales.txt. I'm saying here 3. Now still the data is read from a file using Spark context. So here data2 is RTD. But how many partitions you are asking? 3 partitions. Each partition, like partition 1 may have some 35 records, here 35 records, here 30 records. Think that your file is having 100 records. So during execution, these partitions will be distributed into different nodes and parallelly, those 3 partitions will be executed. So this is the meaning of second point. The first point, when you read data from a local file, when you parallelize a local object, RDD will be created. The second point, when data is read from a local file, local or any file, RDD is created. Then what is the meaning of a third point? Okay, I am coming to the third point, sir. Okay, come with first example. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is a local object now. R1 equal to sc dot parallelize. R1 equal to sc dot parallelize of A. Now what is this? What is object type? Object type is RDD. So it has 6 elements. In the next, I want to perform some transformation. To each element, I want to add 10 value. Now R1 dot map. Whenever I want to perform a transformation, that is map. The functional programming style in Python, lambda x colon x is each element. For each element, what you want to do? I want to add 10. About this map function, in programming part clearly we will understand, sir. Just think that till then it is just a transformation. For each element I am adding 10. Now what is this? This is one object. Input object is R1. R1 type is what? RDD. On a RDD, if I perform a transformation, one more RDD will be produced. That is the meaning of this statement. When a transformation or a filter is applied on a RDD, one more RDD will be produced. What are the values within this RDD? If for each value 10 you have added, 10 plus 1, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, like this. And one more example. I am taking R3. For R3 input is R2. For R2 I am applying filter. Filter lambda x, where x greater than 10. Where x greater than 10 is my condition. So R2 is already RDD. On a RDD, if I apply filter, when a transformation or filter is applied, that is, please observe this statement. Now on existed RDD, I applied a filter, so that what will be produced? One more RDD will be produced. What are the values within this? So let's say here my condition is x greater than 15 or greater than or equals to 15. Now this one condition false, condition false, condition false, condition false. 15 will be taken, 16 will be taken. Finally, two things will be there, 16 and 15 and 16, like this. Okay, so this is the meaning of third point. On an existed RDD, if you perform some transformation or filter, other RDDs will be produced. So please recall the three ways. What are all the different ways to create RDD? Way number one, when local object is parallelized. Way number two, when you read data from a file or database. Way number three, on an existed RDD when transformation or filter is applied. Okay. So after break, we will be discussing the PySpark programming. What are all the different transformations available from basics to up to master level we will be discussing. So actually all theoretical part is completed. Now coding part will be started now. So time 5:13 again exactly by 5, sorry, not 5:13, it's 15. 15 means 3. 3:13 is the time. I'll be back by 3:40, sir. I think too much time. 23:33. Okay, make it 3:35. I will be coming back, sir. One minute, I will stop the recording.